All right, let's get into this game between the Patriots and the Bills. Lots of implications here for the AFC East. Obviously, the Bills are in the lead right now, where the Patriots are floundering. If the Patriots lose this game, they go to 2-5 and are in dire straits in terms of their ability to win this division. Whereas if they win this game, that would give the Bills their third loss and put the Patriots basically right back into the hunt. So can Bill Belichick turn things around? This offense has looked arguably the worst in the league. At this point, I'd rather have the Washington football team's offense than New England's. It's been that bad. Can they turn things around? We shall see. Vegas doesn't think so. They've got this as the lowest over-under on the week. They've got a 42-point over-under. Bills favored to win this one by 3.5 points. Still pretty close. They still do believe that the Patriots can hang with the Bills here. Now, the Bills' offense has been not as good over the past couple weeks. They came out on fire for the first 4 games, and then the last 3, they've been less than stellar. A lot of that to do with John Brown being hurt. Doesn't look like he's going to end up suiting up again this week. Both of these teams have been good on defense. The Patriots have been beatable in the running game, but it doesn't matter because the running game for the Bills has just been terrible. Whereas the Bills have been exploitable through the run as well. Really good at slowing down receivers, and the Patriots don't have any receivers. This is just not a game I really want a lot of fantasy players going because I feel like there's 2 ways that this game could go. Obviously, number one is the Bills do what the 49ers did last week and just completely rout them from the start. And at that point, you could see where if they don't need to put up a lot of points, there might not be a lot of great fantasy options. What you're hoping for is this is actually a competitive game. Somehow the Patriots can actually hang with the Bills, and Josh Allen has to sling the ball a bit more, kind of like we saw in the first couple weeks. I don't know that we're going to see that. The Patriots have looked pretty bad on offense, and their defense has still been decent. So this could just be a low-scoring game overall where you're not really happy with any of the options. I'm not starting anyone on the Patriots. I can't recommend it at this point. James White barely involved last week. He was seeing a pretty decent floor every single week, but last week only had 1 catch. So that's garbage. Cam Newton has looked terrible. Damien Harris has been okay, but if we're not expecting the Patriots to really be able to keep the ball moving, it's really hard to recommend a grinder back, someone that's not involved in the passing game at all. Damiere Byrd would be the only receiver I would even remotely think about starting at this point. You're probably dropping both Edelman and Harry, and you probably don't roster Byrd either. This is just a garbage offense at this point. And unless Cam Newton can, find the fountain of youth and turn things back around, I mean, we did see him look okay the first couple weeks, but maybe that was more of a matchup dependent thing. It's really hard to trust anyone on the Patriots at this point. I'm going to give Newton one last week before I recommend everyone dropping him, but I definitely don't want to play him this week if I can avoid it. On the Bills side, I think you can play Josh Allen with some confidence here. I know the Patriots have a decent defense, but we have seen some, obviously Russell Wilson had a good game against them. There have been decent plays against the Patriots. Not the best start this week, but definitely still good enough to be playing in your top 12 quarterbacks. Stefon Diggs has been an every week start regardless of matchup. That doesn't change. And I think you can play Cole Beasley again if John Brown is out. Obviously getting 12 targets last week. Can't ignore that. He's not explosive by any means, but he has been a staple for Josh Allen when John Brown is out. So I think Cole Beasley remains a decent PPR play. The Bills defense here is probably the MVP and one that you're going to want to play pretty much over everyone else. With the Patriots offense being as bad as it is, the Bills defense is a really good play here. Now I know, as I mentioned, the Patriots run defense is where you can normally beat them, but between both Singletary and Zack Moss not looking good on the ground and the fact that they're basically back to splitting carries 50-50, I don't want anything to do with this running game, even in a decent matchup here. Not playing any of the tight ends either. Gabriel Davis is an interesting flex. Should have had that touchdown last week, but it got called back and ended up with a pretty poor fantasy day. Maybe he ends up coming through for you, but I'm pretty much just playing Allen, Diggs, Beasley in the Bills defense and trying to avoid this game like the plague. I think the Bills end up winning this one. I have this a really low score game. I got the Bills winning 17 to the Patriots scoring 14.